So thank you, Cosmic Light Collective, for being present to us this evening, for all your support, for your collaboration, for your willingness to assist and care for and love us. This is a very profound topic, I think, on the earth at this particular moment, and in the United States especially. And so I'm excited to hear what you have to say about power, and look forward to really being provided a lot of instruction in ways that I'm sure we have not really considered before. Here are some of our questions on this topic, and we look forward to your answers. Are power and ego intertwined? And does the power of the ego need to be dissipated? How do we utilize power with compassion? How do we avoid the corruption that power can precipitate? What does power look like for a 5D enlightened person? How do we transcend past karmic abuses of power in our current incarnations? What is the highest and most benevolent use of power? How can we embody our power in its healthiest form? What is your definition of power, and can you give us examples of how power has been used for good? Is power only an ego quality? Is empowerment a soul-embodied experience? Is power simply a distortion from the ego? And what is the difference between the power of the soul and the power of the ego? And then the other thing I'm very much aware of is that power is not simply something that humans use, but that power is available to us through the kingdoms of nature, who collaborate with us, or actually who offer us tremendous gifts through hydrothermal power, geothermal power, through many of the kingdoms of nature's resources that provide us with what we need to be able to collaborate and to live and to explore and create. So I'd also like to know about the intersection of the different forms of power with the kingdoms of nature, and how that can best be utilized at this point in time. So with that being said, we are on mute. I'm going to take a drink and we will go right into the transmission. It is our pleasure to be with you this evening, to collaborate with you on human and planetary evolution, to enjoy the community multidimensionally that we share, and the commitment to the evolution of this planet and all life on her, especially as the evolutionary forces continue to build and mount in the planetary experience. We bring forth the issue of power today because it is in the right and appropriate and most generous uses of power that you will find some of your greatest successes. Power. We're going to define this for you from a variety of perspectives, because depending upon the perspective from which you are experiencing life, power changes. The heavenly experiences of power are the transmission or radiation of energy to promote the creation or evolution of matter into energy and energy into matter. So the creative forces that give birth to multiple dimensional forms of existence require power to manifest, to be delivered to appropriate environments for their birthing, for their living, and for their dying processes. For those in the universe and in the galaxy responsible for the creation of massive forms of life, being entire solar systems, being galactic constellations, where multitudes of species and experiences are created, power is utilized as the force through which creation manifests. It is a pure power. It does not have a right or a wrong, a left or a right, or up or down. It is simply the forces of existence moving into manifestation. The forces of existence moving into manifestation. When you consider the power of an explosion to excavate so that creation or building or construction can unfold, you see the necessity of power to put into motion that which will manifest. Breathe this in, this ability to put into motion that which will manifest, and to understand that as power. When you consider that you have the power to put into action that which you choose to manifest, you have an idea of utilizing forces of energy to create trajectories of possibilities. When you who are parents decided to have children, you put into motion, through the power of that decision, the ability to conceive new life. That was a powerful act. And there were forces, creative forces, that you joined with collaboratively to bring forth new life. When you understand your ability to access these forces, to mold them in specific directions, to manifest physical realities, you are experiencing power. Now, every parent has access to life force so that they can give birth to a new being. But they're only accessing life force. They're not making it. It's come from somewhere else. In our work, collaborating on the evolution of humanity and the kingdoms of nature and the ascension of this planet, we collaborate with much larger forces already in motion. And we seek to define those new trajectories, to create beneficial boundaries, to rein in the unhealthy, and to increase the bountiful. We collaborate with multiple forces of creation to manifest the best and highest possible outcomes as we understand and perceive them. This is the enlightened use of power. It is pure. No right, no wrong. No judgment, no condemnation, no concealment. It is simply the experience of existence unfolding through the forces of creation. When we talk about a personalized experience of this level of pure power, we discuss the empowerment provided by your souls to guide you into the most intelligent and loving uses of the forces of creation at your disposal. That is the enlightened use of soul empowerment to create outcomes in which all life on earth is respected, honored, and supported. Through soul empowerment, your access to these forces of creation is permitted because your intention to serve, to heal, to respect, to celebrate, and to appreciate is already in motion. There is no malevolent or destructive quality to soul empowerment. It is a coherent experience of life serving life. This is the source of power from the forces of creation. Consider power the hands of creation, being able to manipulate, to mold, to define, to sculpt the energies moving through creation to manifest realities, multi-dimensional realities. From this perspective, you get to appreciate the extreme creativity and wonder that is the source of life. That moves and has its being throughout existence. Your experience of empowerment is aligning with and being moved by these higher forces of creation that are present in these lower experiences of physical life. We start with this majestic, multidimensional presence so that you can honor the true potential of the empowerment offered you by your soul. Your ego does not understand power. It understands control. They are not the same thing. Although in a third dimensional experience that is bound by fear, loss, and separation, the control of the ego is recognized as the force of power that protects a very fragile experience of existence. The problem is that it doesn't protect a fragile experience of existence. It threatens its well-being. That is the reality that is being offered to humanity. That your ego's experience of control as protection has failed you. And until you release this destructive egoic hold on your ability to create, you will continue to destroy yourselves. The power of the soul awakening within you has the ability to transcend the control of the ego through the use of powerful forces that create a reality beyond the danger of third dimensional expression. The ongoing violence in the United States is asking you to consider, what is control? Who is doing it? Why? And for what reason? Whose ego is choosing to lead the war against the sanctity of life? Whose ego is doing that? We have spoken about the need in enlightened communities, in Ascension communities, to recognize that there are no leaders or followers. There are simply collaborators. And each of us are responsible for the use of power in our lives. The soul-aware and soul-empowered choose their responses, knowing that the life force of creation runs through them and empowers them to make decisions beyond the purview of the ego. Where the ego destroys, the soul chooses to support. Where the ego condemns, the soul chooses to forgive. Where the ego obliterates, the soul chooses to instruct. It is a transcendent experience that allows you to access the forces of creation that are empowering existence. Not controlling it, not limiting it. Even though there are dimensional boundaries that allow for life forms to fully express themselves, within those boundaries is immense freedom for life forms to evolve. And yes, to even evolve into another dimensional expression. But within each dimension, there is tremendous opportunity. In your current third dimensional existence, you are pushing the boundaries beyond the ego to break through to the fifth dimensional awareness of soul-empowered living. You are in the process of dimensional shift that realigns the experience of power from the hands of the ego into the hands of the soul. The transfer of this power from one to the other is creating great disruption because the ego cannot understand what's happening to it. And the soul is learning how to address the future without the baggage of the past. It is a destabilizing yet immensely freeing experience. And to understand the appropriate and generous use of power allows you to make the most of this evolutionary shift. You have heard of the Big Bang, and you have heard about the expansion of the universe. You have heard of the births of stars in nebula. You have been taught and been made aware of celestial processes that generate life. We're asking you to utilize that soul-empowered access to these forces of creation, to choose to empower your decisions beyond violence and into respect, beyond greed and into service, beyond lust and into the sanctification of life, beyond control and into freedom. The powerful listen before they speak. The powerful consider before they act. The powerful align with the forces of creation before they make decisions. The powerful feel, think, and believe in a coherent fashion before they put any physical action into motion. The powerful choose to understand the footsteps that will be taken on the trajectories they present. The powerful honor the experiences that went before them. Learn, build, and construct with an intelligent appreciation for the appropriate use of resources that allow for sustainability and continuity. The powerful are thoughtful. The powerful are aware. And the powerful engage assistance. The powerful build community and support self-expression. The powerful focus on respectful communication and collective problem solving. The powerful are unafraid to try new methodologies, new technologies, new philosophies that offer possibilities in safe and appropriate environments. Power is one of the most generous forces that you will ever connect with. Consider the generosity of electricity, the generosity of water, the generosity of air, the generosity of fuel, the generosity of the elements, the generosity of the plants, the generosity of animals, the generosity of humans, and the generosity of angelic and celestial forces. There is never really a lack of power. There is usually a lack of access to the types of power required. Consider that, the lack of access to the types of power required. Power is not the ability to destroy. Power is collaborating with the forces of creation. Within that context, there are cycles of birth, life, and death. But cycles of evolution are very different than pure destruction. The empowered do not destroy purposelessly. The empowered make significant enlightened decisions about that which must be cleansed, purified, freed, released. And yes, there are invasive species that must be managed. There are dangerous viruses that must be reined in. There is protection required from massive dust storms, hurricanes, and whirlpools. But the ability to collaborate with the forces of creation provides a protection that simply choosing to destroy something never does. When death is understood as the evolution of life, it's not actually destruction as much as it is transcendence. And that humanity still does not understand. Life never dies. It changes. It transforms. And when you align with the forces of creation, you allow your lives to transform through the appropriate use of power. A gun is a form of control. It's not a form of power. What's done with the gun is the misuse of power, but the actual gun itself is neutral. Knives are incredibly powerful tools, necessary for life, but can also be used for death. Your water, your air, your earth, all of these can be as destructive as they can be life-giving, depending on the forces of creation that are molding them and powerfully directing them. Powerfully directing them. What is the power that you choose to direct your life? What are the forces of creation that you are choosing to align with in soul empowerment to manifest a new reality? How are you willing to work with these forces of creation to transcend past egoic control mechanisms to free yourself to the opportunities available to your evolution? Power is a magnificent and beautiful gift from creation. It's a gift where creation allows you to experience a little bit of what it does best. To have a role, a voice, a seat at the table, a vote, to participate in the way that the forces of life powerfully move through you. Do not mix power with protection. When you align with the forces of creation, the movement of those tremendous energy streams is so profound that your idea of protection is like a fly going up against a dinosaur. Not in the same league. To have the greatest sense of freedom, align with the forces of creation and utilize this empowerment to build life, joy, possibility, creativity, awareness, healing, coherence, beauty, harmony, wonder, evolution. To take it on, to wrestle with it, to sculpt and mold, to compose. Become aware now of these tremendous monadic auric field subtle bodies around you, supporting and empowering the 5 subtle bodies of your soul. Become aware of those forces of creation, those waves moving from the clear light, the aqua light, the golden light. And feel those forces empowering your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your memories, your physical experiences, with opportunities to create, transform, transcend. Whether it's in the kitchen, on a dish for the family, at work, in a contract that involves multiple companies, whether it's in the classroom, inspiring young or older minds, whether it's at the conference table, deliberating on what's respectful, helpful, and honoring to all involved. You have been given mantles of power through which life flows, changes, has meaning, fulfills purpose, and creates experiences of transcendent love. Let no one tell you that you are weak. No soul that exists is weak. May be tired, but not weak. So therefore, neither are you. The term disempowered is a term that the ego celebrates, for it has succeeded in stripping the disempowered of their birthright as a soul-embodied creation to access the powerful forces that move through this planet. You are empowered. You are soul awakened and soul driven. And through this coherent connection, consciously aligning and utilizing the forces of creation to manifest a soul-embodied civilization of peace. You are the bearers of the message that the soul's power is alive and making its presence known. Feel your soul's presence growing in your conscious awareness. Viscerally feel it. Become aware of it in your thoughts, its presence in your beliefs, its fluidity in your emotions, and as the rebar, the scaffolding in your etheric body. Feel the memories hung all over it, and now feel those memories, the ones you no longer need, being transformed, scrambled, erased, whatever, as the structure through which your empowerment flows leads you to your fulfillment and in service to your world. For the next 12 hours, your monadic auric fields, as well as the assistance coming from the universe and the galaxy to the planet, will be in full delivery mode. It is our pleasure to introduce you to these forces of creation that are the source of your power in their purity. For this week, simply focus on some simple intentions to become aware of just how well or how difficult it is for you to access these forces of creation through your soul. Simple things. Simple things. Don't ask to manifest a new job or a new relationship or anything major. Simple things. And in your alignment and collaboration, be amazed. You have amazing potential. Now, we're helping you to positively and powerfully utilize that in the creation of your own enlightened lives that serve as an example of what can be now. And so with that, we leave you with great wonder as to what we will discover together in your week of wonder, utilizing your soul empowerment to refine the realities of your own lives. May the blessings flow May the wonder be, and may the grace always surround and delight. Until next week, we ask you to enjoy your empowerment.